Get in, lads. Welcome back to the Approved Get It Football podcast. We have some Toronto FC content, LA Galaxy content, Luton Town content. They just got promoted. So we have some for them. Got some predictions in the end. You like that intro, huh? Like that? It's nice. It's nice. So we should have a fun and exciting episode for you guys. Episode 9, to be exact. Dago and I actually recorded episode 9.
Fuck you, Dortmund.
And 2 of the topics we went over completely got refuted the next day. So there's no point in posting it. My name's Elijah. I'm joined by Dago and Andres, per usual. We're close to 200 subscribers. I think 7 away. So if you want to help us out, greatly appreciate it. I think we're planning on doing a mystery kit unboxing once we hit 200. So if that interests you, please subscribe, turn notifications on. That'll be fun. I'm excited for that. Let's get on to the football. Reason why we're still here, or why we're all here, sorry. Let's start with the disappointing season that Toronto FC has been having. It's going to be a very disappointing episode because we're talking about 2 disappointing MLS teams. But first, we're talking about Toronto FC. They're accompanied by drama, by mental. Scandals, by affairs even. No, okay, there was no affairs. But a few days ago, I wouldn't be surprised. The Athletic, which to read this article I paid for, by the way, they released an article a few days ago entitled Inside Toronto FC's Fractured Culture, Insigne and Bernardeschi Clashes, Bradley Distrust. So pretty much we're going to go over this as a whole. I mean, there's other sources in there that came out with things, but primarily this. So, I mean, there's a lot. Essentially, I'll start off by saying that after the loss to Austin FC, there was a conference call held and led by the 2 Italian stars, pretty much just saying they want to buy Bradley out, which hurts me. As an LAFC fan, I'm happy to see him gone, but I'm not happy to see him doing bad in the club. I got you. And a whole lot of other stuff. I don't know if you guys want to cover.
So basically,
cover any of that.
The other issues is not the 2 Italian stars, but there's been reports that teammates with Michael Bradley, because Michael Bradley is the captain, which is the son of Bob Bradley, feels like they can't talk to him about anything because it's anything they talk to him about somehow gets to the coaching staff because he probably talks to his dad. So it's a weird dynamic in that dressing room in terms of not being able to talk to your captain because you feel like it's going to go straight to the coach. And sometimes captain conversations don't need to go to the coach, but apparently this is what's happening. Players feel uncomfortable talking about certain things or certain issues they have with training, maybe with play styles, certain issues, life decisions, maybe. You talk to your captain about stuff. I don't know.
Life decisions.
They do. And then
you're really having a baby right now,
the
bro?
Italians also have an issue with Michael Bradley, apparently, because I believe, I forgot which Italian said it, but he said that he was Bob Bradley's son, which is obviously a factual statement. Yeah, statement, but as in who cares? You're just a kid. And then he also called Mark Anthony Kaye, who is from LAFC. Sorry, okay. I just always say Kaye. I don't know why. Kaye. Kaye. That he's also Bob Bradley's son, which is Mark Anthony was trying to break up a little argument that was occurring in the dressing room, a little conflict, and he was then called out by his teammate, and not very toxic environment, and a lot of fingers are being pointed at who's to blame. But we're here to talk about what we think is wrong with the club and to see who's exactly to blame in the situation.
I mean, to quote, Bernardeschi to Michael said, "Of course you're his son." He said to Bob Bradley, "Of course you're his papa," and then to MAK, "You're his other son." So, yeah, very toxic. Do you got anything?
I can provide a different outlook because I went to a game.
Ooh,
I saw them play, and they were terrible. They were so bad. They were. I'm trying to keep it PG, but let's just say they were very, very ass. And like, you could go talk about tactics. I think that's like when you guys are talking about Bernardeschi. I think at one point said like, we can't play with the way the football that we're playing. We can't win or something like that, which is basically calling out Bob Bradley's tactics. I think a quote here, like I was looking, I lost it because I was looking at a bunch of stuff, but he's kind of like saying like everybody looks at football differently. This is Bernardeschi saying that, but he says sometimes we need to change ideas, and of course you can criticize your coach, but when you do it in public like that, it's like it's just never a good place to build a good foundation, a good relationship when you publicly criticize your manager like that. And that's not to say I think the tactics are good, because like I said, I saw the game, they were ass. But like at the same time, like you kind of have to discuss that behind the scenes. I don't know if Bob Bradley is taking in advice, but honestly, like it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, like no results are showing up, and it could be whether the top players are doing badly. Like I think Insigne hasn't been doing great. I know Bernardeschi hasn't been doing that great either, but like it's not just them; it's the whole team that's just not coming together.
I think I have a quote to back up your thing too. This is from Bernardeschi. He says, "Quote: We don't have a construction in the game. When the player has the ball, we don't know how to pass the ball. He says this is the real problem because we don't train about that. We lose every game. We tie, we lose. We tie, we lose. Sometimes we win, but I can't believe this sincerely. This is not good for the young players. They need to get better and grow up with the idea of football. And the players with personality, they need to help us understand and follow the idea of football. But we need the idea of football. This is a real situation. Essentially saying Bob Bradley doesn't know football. Which is kind of hard. I mean, it's hard for me to agree with because, like, he had a lot of success with AFC. Obviously, Dolo having more, but Bob Bradley knows football. I mean, he's one of the best American coaches of all time.
Third most MLS wins.
Exactly, third most MLS wins. I mean, he's coached in Europe. He's coached the men's national team and had a fair bit of success in all of them. To add to Bernardeschi, I mean, it's also hard to paint him as the good guy in here for me. I mean, I do agree with him. And he knows what real football is. I mean, he played at Juve. He came from Juve, so he knows football. He knows Serie A. He knows Italian, like international football with Italy. But he's also been using a vape pen. He's been using a vape pen in training and on the team plane after repeatedly being told no, and not to, because obviously you can't, especially on a plane. I mean, you can't smoke on planes, especially with a vape pen. So he's not helping either. He's just adding to it. I don't know. The one word I can use to describe all this is embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. What's up with the U.S. soccer and like parents? We had the whole Gio Reyna situation 2-3 months ago, and now we have Bob and Michael Bradley situation. It's embarrassing.
I feel like there's so many big personalities in that locker room. In the sense
what's the point?
Bob Bradley, who's also has a big personality in terms of coaching style, and like his coaching like presence, and then you got these guys who also have big personalities because they come from big clubs and they have a big history. And then you just have all these conflicts going on. Realistically, they need Ted Lasso to settle everyone down. Yeah. Get the personalities down. Everyone work as a team, and they can build from there. But personally, it's just all these different personalities conflicting, and it's just not working out. And I mean, in the quote, you said that they need the big personalities to help out with the team, but they are the big personalities, and they're not helping out the team at all, and they're underperforming, which is a sign. It can be assigned blame to them, but I think the blame goes to everybody because I feel like as a whole team they're playing shit. Yes, you can say the tactics aren't shit, but it's what's the word? It's tried and tested, true and tested, whatever. Tried and tested because Bob Bradley wins. He's the third most winning manager in MLS
tried
history.
Tested.
He wins, so it's tried and tested. Oh, that's just a weird thing. Tried and tested. Right. There we go. Sorry. Tried and tested formula that works, and they need to get behind the manager and get stuck in, because I think the owner or chairman or CEO, I don't really know who exactly said it, but I remember reading this. He backs Bradley, so he's staying, obviously. And so they got to just get behind him, work on it, or just get rid of the players that are causing all the trouble. I don't know what's exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like, I know Bernardeschi, so he, after the whole vape pen stuff, he did get, in like the comments, he got suspended for a match week by the team. He posted a graphic on a story, pretty much just going over like his like stats. I mean, since he came, I think he's like the best goal scorer, and it's like top of the board in a lot of these stats. And like, that's, not to take credit from him. The rest of the team hasn't been doing anything.
He was even there.
No one's heard of Insigne since he came. I just want to put that out there. Like, in general, I know, like, this is one of the most disappointing sides in a long time. You two big star players you brought into the MLS, and you thought they're going to do good. Bernardeschi was still firing for the Italian national team. Insigne left, honestly, I think a little early from Napoli. He could have won the title if he stayed. Toronto also have the highest salaries in the league by over 2 million. Like that's like not barely, like that's by a lot. So just like to be almost last in the Eastern Conference and to have that is pretty disappointing. They also apparently didn't even get along before they came to Toronto.
Yeah, they were told
So,
that they get
as a club,
they're like
why don't you look at that?
cool with each other,
You know,
but like they're not friends.
I'm sure,
Which is a bit weird because they were teammates at one point, which is a little weird to just not
which is
be friends
fine
with your teammates, especially on the national team. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, if you want them to come in like the best players and to have like the best influence in the dressing room, you don't want them to not like each other, you know? Because like, what's the point? And Sydney also apparently like there's a language barrier too. And Sydney doesn't speak much English, and he keeps to himself a lot. He speaks to a lot of the Italian-speaking players and the Spanish-speaking players, but he keeps himself a lot otherwise. But you're coming to the MLS, like you gotta have a little bit of English, you know, to talk to the rest. At least French, especially because you're playing in Canada.
They missed that Football Manager tip where it says,
I don't know. There's a lot. It's disappointing. It's embarrassing. Go ahead, Andres. I'm sorry.
English barrier or language barrier. They forgot to check for that. No. I mean, he could still learn English. Not a big deal. But like you know, as a big player, you would like to be able to talk to all your teammates at least, or you know, have other teammates learn Italian or Spanish so they can actually like communicate a little bit better. But you know, that's a big issue that he stays quiet to himself because a star player needs to talk. Yeah, they're at 20 chemistry. They're at the base chemistry right now.
Yeah, there's no chemistry.
33. That's 33 chemistry.
Yeah, base chemistry. Yeah. And not to take away, like from 2016 through 2019, I think they were like in 3 MLS Cup finals or something like that. They only won 1, but like they had success. With Vanny, but unfortunately he did leave in 2020 to LA.
As soon as you said Vanny, I knew what was
up. Here's my segue to the LA Galaxy, to the LA Galaxy struggles. You know what's going on. Galaxy have honestly been more of a laughingstock this season than Toronto FC. We all know that, and this is my chance to bring Diego in here a little more because he's the Galaxy fan. I'm the LFC fan, of course. He's a Galaxy fan. Galaxy have 2 wins, 3 draws, 9 losses through 14. Sitting at 9 points, last in the Western Conference. I mean, there's so much to go on. Go ahead.
In all honesty, like though,
maybe I missed something. 100%.
It's far less interesting than Toronto's poor form. Like,
I would agree. I mean, I love me a little bit of locker room drama compared to Galaxy going on, but Galaxy,
a lot behind the scenes.
Galaxy, it is deeper than just on the pitch. I mean,
like if you're talking about the fan protests
there's fan protests. I mean, let's see. What do I have here? I got attendance is down. There's 3 different supporters groups boycotting home games out of 4. The cheating scandals, of course, with Klein. Vanny out. Everyone's Vanny out. The other day, I don't know if you guys saw like a week or 2 ago, AC Milan had lost, and all the fans were talking to the AC Milan fans, and the Galaxy fans thought they were going to do the same thing. And they did. A few players stayed after the game, and they were like talking to them, but the fans were essentially just yelling at them and just making it worse. But sorry, go ahead, Diego. I mean, tell me what you think.
No, I mean, like, I think like as a Tottenham fan, and this is a weird analogy, but we're blaming the owner a lot, and I think this is another scenario where I think the owner might need to take some of the blame here. Chris Klein, the owner,
go.
I don't know how long he's been in there for a while. He's been the owner of the Galaxy for a good amount of time now, and they've been pretty poor for a good amount of time now. Probably like I want to say the last 6-7 years. I forget the last time they won actually the MLS Cup, their 5th one, but it's been a good 6-7 years since the Galaxy have really shown like anything, like any sign of life of the club they used to be. And finally, the fans, I think, are getting to that limit of like enough. And while I understand the Greg Vanny out's comments and like actions that people are giving out there. I don't really think that's the biggest problem. I think it's some poor decision making. Like, let's be honest, Douglas Costa is not it. I'm going to be honest with you guys.
He
He's
hasn't
not
done
it.
anything since he came.
Chicharito's been great. Douglas
Yeah.
Costa is not him. The fact that we're paying him so much money and he's taking up one of the DP spots for like one game a year is terrible.
Yeah.
Just like football operations in general, because of the owner and the things he's done and the players he's signed. Let's be honest, players that he's been signing have been pretty average mostly. I think we've gotten some good players recently. We have a nice base foundation for some of the players, but a lot of them have just been poor. And it's like a lot of the time, I feel like the players they sign have been, and the Galaxy used to be that showy team, right? They used to buy those players that were the big names. You had Robbie Keane, you had David Beckham, Landon Donovan, who's probably the greatest MLS player of all time. Like, you have these amazing players, but yet we're at this point where, like, we signed Douglas Costa. He ain't it. Chicharito has been good, but he's also injury prone. Let's be honest, that's not great. We don't like that. Like, we need him to play more.
Yeah.
He's good when he plays, but he's too injury prone at this point in time. Puig has been a good choice, a young player, an actual young player who still has a lot of time to develop. But so many other players, and I don't want to start naming off all the players, but so many are just not it. I'll just name one: Jonathan Klinsmann, not a good enough goalkeeper. Pretty poor goalkeeper in my opinion. Some of the center backs, like, they're playing a 17-year-old from the academy. Like, don't get me wrong, he obviously he has great potential, but the inexperience will come in multiple times this season just because it's how it goes. It's how it goes. You're a young player. You don't know some situations. You're going to get caught out. Especially as a defender, people are going to notice it more. Like, it's just the life of the defender. And the fact that we have to rely on him to start every game is we're going to feel it. We're going to feel it 100%.
Yeah.
So basically, coming back to it, the players we signed, the tactics aren't great right now. That could be to a mixture of things, whether it's the wrong idea, the wrong type of players to set up for this style of play. It just hasn't been it. And then, honestly, it's just like, I don't want to blame Vanny because I like Vanny. I think he's a good coach. We saw, like you said, what he did with Toronto. He had an incredibly good season with Toronto. I just don't think he's the first one to blame. I think that's a little unfair from the fans. I can't agree with that.
I think Galaxy have a little hard too. I mean, they have it hard, but they put it on themselves because of the whole cheating thing, with the money involved with Christian Pavon, his thing.
Yeah.
There is a suspension for the summer transfer window, so you can't make any personnel changes, even if you wanted to. There was $1 million fine, $1 million future voided allocation money, which is a lot. $1 million is a lot in the MLS. To back up your point earlier, just to let you know, how long has he been here? That I said. I think Klein's been there 10 years or so.
10 years,
or no, since 2016. I'm sorry, since 2016.
Klein,
it's like 6 or 7 years. So it's like 6 or 7 years. Yeah, it's just he needs to go. I mean, the Galaxy's doing the same thing that they've been doing for 10 yeyears now. They were doing 10 years ago. I'm sorry. Yeah. They're trying to do the same thing they brought them success a decade ago, which doesn't make sense. You just can't do it. The league has changed so much in that time, so you just can't do that. There's no point in it. Like I said, the league has changed. You've made decent signings. I think Cheech spent a year too long there, personally. Maybe not as much for Galaxy, but for him, I think he spent a year too long.
Yeah.
Galaxy have a history of signing the big name, older players that are coming to finish their career and do good. Cheech just passed that point now, in my opinion. And it's different signing players like Robbie Keane and David Beckham to Douglas Costa, the Uruguayan center back, and Chicha.
That goal against LAFC was pretty good.
Yeah, there we go. Caceres. Ricky Puig, I like a lot.
I do too.
I think he's a really good player. It was a good goal. Yeah. It definitely was a good goal. And he's going back to Europe within a year or two, guaranteed. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
He's too good to be playing for them less.
Yeah, he's very good. He's going to go back. Just I don't know. Galaxy's been so disappointing. The coming of LAFC, of course, it makes it look even worse because it's the tale of two stories for one city. Galaxy have 2 playoff wins in 6 years. You can't be doing that, and you know, like Galaxy are solely relying on their history here to maintain their status as the top club, as one of the top clubs in MLS, which is totally fair. I mean, you can. That's what the whole history is for. And I think even the Twitter is like the home, like their bio is home of the only MLS team to win like 5, I think. And that's cool, but that's embarrassing. If you're just living off that, that's kind of embarrassing. You got to step it up. Chicha thinks it's mentality. According to one article or one interview, he thinks it's a mentality reason that they're doing so poorly. But you have the supporter groups boycotting. You have the supporter groups yelling at them after the game. That's not going to help mentality. And honestly, it's kind of the fans aren't helping either. Like the fans are, in my opinion, the fans aren't the good guys.
I feel like as a captain, you have to say
everyone's a victim here.
You can't say,
and also everyone is a.
You just can't say that. But like in reality, they're just not good enough. No, some of them just aren't good enough to be playing. Like the keeper,
of course,
right?
Well, but I feel like they're not.
He's not playing anymore because John Bond's back from injury. So now that goalkeeper situation is resolved.
Some of them are good enough.
Bond can only do so much, right? But like the entire attacking wise, you have Chicha up there, you have Puig, helping out because he's a center attacking mid-ish, but like that's about it. Right. Going forward, you don't really have they don't have that attack anymore like they kind of used to, not like significantly, but at least they had some players that could get the ball up the pitch. Now they don't, and now you have some issues with the defense. I'm gonna just call it Raheem Edwards because he's just not good enough entirely. Just trash, no offense if you ever watch this Raheem Edwards, you're just not good enough. That's why you left LAFC. You're here now. Just want to say that. But yeah, it's just not good enough. Overall, the players aren't playing well. Maybe it is a mentality thing, but what I see is they're just not good enough to be able to play against these better sides. Their best game was against LAFC in the El Tráfico, not El Clásico. What the hell am I talking about? El Tráfico in the season. That was their best game so far playing wise, but it's an El Tráfico. Of course, every team, both sides are going to rise to the occasion because it's a massive rivalry. So no, in the season. Yeah, where they lost. But that was their best game so far in the season. That says a lot.
Are we talking about the one that just happened?
All their games combined.
Oh, the earlier one. Okay.
Chicha said it himself in an interview. Okay. That was their best game. He felt like they should have won it. It could be argued that it should have ended in the draw. Let's be real, because they had some pretty good chances at the end. But I feel like Chicha's trying to do everything he can as a leader to try and change up the mentality with the club in the sense. Because I remember in an interview he said that it's something they need to. They say they need to change it, but in reality they gotta change it. They can't just say it. If you know what I mean, they're trying to actually do it. But he's saying like it starts in training. It's not good enough in training. And then a couple of months later, he backtracked and said, we're doing everything we can in training. So maybe something's changed in training. Maybe training's not good enough. Players are slacking. Who knows? Only really the players know and the coaching staff knows. But overall, they just got to stick together. I mean, at least they're not pulling a Toronto and they have a massive divide in the locker room because I feel like we would have heard about it already if there was a divide. So I feel like they're unified in that sense, but I think they just need to they just need to play better. And let's be real, they just have to play better because they're offering nothing going forward. I mean, Chicha was sent off against Charlotte this past weekend. To their 1-0 loss, he was sent off with a second yellow. So you lose your star striker since Chivas. He was been sent off before. So that's been a while now. That's like 10 years ago, I think. So it's been
first
a while.
of his career, by the way.
First of his career. They just got to play better, and now they're going to be without Chicha for 3 games, I think, or 1, 2, because it wasn't a straight red. 1, so they got to figure it out. Maybe they play better without him. I doubt it, but we'll see what happens. But that's my spiel.
It was 1 then. It'll be 1.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's also like kind of Toronto, right? You're bringing these big players who have other careers and have their thoughts about football. A coach who's successful, who has his thoughts about football should be played. It's all egos, and egos don't mesh. I mean, Greg Vanney, his system is obviously not working with the players there, And you can't get new players this summer. You can't get players until next season. So what do you do to salvage this season? You change your tactics a little bit more. You know, like you change it to fit your players if your players can't fit yours. And I understand, like he knows they work, but you can't change anything right now. So you can't change anything but your tactics. So you might as well change that. Then to me again, it's like shooting themselves in the foot because
they got to rely on their second
have
team.
their opinions what football is.
Galaxy
doesn't mesh at all. It's not going to mesh until people leave, but you can't for a while. So make the best of it. Yeah, exactly. And at this point, you're not making the playoffs. If you do make the playoffs, you're not making it anywhere past the first round. So bring in more of those young players. I mean, it's also a statement if you sit Chicharito because he's not playing well. If you sit Raheem Edwards because he's not playing well.
If
you sit Douglas Costa because he's not playing well, not because you're paying them the salaries, and bring in these players and see how they do. Because they can't be doing worse. You know, especially Douglas Costa. They can't be doing much worse. Well, exactly. Like that's what I mean. Like you might as well take advantage of what you can do. When Chelsea were handed the transfer ban, we started playing our youth academy players. And obviously, it's very different levels of football, but we started playing our youth players from Cobham, and that was great for us. That set up so many good things for us. Allowed them to be introduced into first team football. If not with us and someone else, you know, other than move on. So you might as well do the same thing in Galaxy, because it's just not working out. Change the dynamic of what's happening. Change the setup. Change the chemistry as best you can, because you're already so far in the hole. The only way from here is up. Maybe. I don't even know about that. It is true. Yeah. And because there's no promotion relegation, there's no fear there. Anyway, let's move across the pond to England.
Sorry. All disappointing seasons for all three of our
pyramid
teams.
Seasons are done. For the most part, we're done here. Luton Town has officially been promoted. Oh, what? Oh, for three of us, yes. But for Championship to Premier League, Luton Town has been promoted officially as of a couple days ago. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what they need to do to stay up. Because it's going to be hard. They are definitely the favorites to go back down. What do they need to do to stay up? What routes do they need to take?
Definitely not the Nottingham Forest route. When you brought up the topic, I was like thinking about what they should do. I was like, definitely not Nottingham Forest. Yes, Nottingham Forest stayed up, but barely. And a lot of those players didn't even play.
Yeah.
And they had like the biggest squad in the Premier League. I remember we were doing a video on it, and we found out it was like 40-something players on their squad. Ridiculous. I feel like Luton has a decent squad. I mean, for the most part, I feel like they got that belief in them too. So I feel like personally, if I was the manager, if I was the board, I would invest in defense. Because let's be real, like, you know, the smaller clubs that come up to the Premier League, that they don't really offer a whole lot in attacking wise, so they got to be strong defensively. And I feel like they'll face the bigger clubs, and I feel like they need to be strong defensively. So I'd invest in some center backs, right backs, left backs, some center CDMs, maybe a keeper, maybe brand new keeper, because I feel like keeper might be important in the Prem. I feel like if you get I
mean, I think they're gonna keep Ethan Horvath. He's on loan. They have from Nottingham Forest actually. He's on loan. There's a buy option, and they're probably going to keep him because he was excellent.
The nice thing about keepers, though, is there's some quality keepers in the Prem that are like backups that will go on loan, and they can save money by getting like Dean Henderson.
So he's going to be solid.
He's on loan at Nottingham, but he's going to go back to United. So you can get him, play it for Luton. You know, like I feel like they got to shore up the back, make sure it's solid, and then maybe over time they can build up. Because I genuinely feel like they could stay up. I feel like, you know, the story they have is literally a Cinderella Hollywood story of being able to climb up from non-league all the way to the Premier League. So I feel like I think they got it to stay up for at least a season, I feel. But I feel like if they get through a season, I feel like they'll be better and maybe mid-table side, I feel they could be. After the first season, I have some faith in them. I could be completely wrong 2 years' time from now. I'm going to get clipped. Me saying this, and they're in like League One again or something like that. But just complete downfall. But I think if they make the right financial decisions, I know this is really broad, but like genuinely, we have no idea what their targets are in terms of this season.
Complete
They're
downfall.
too busy celebrating getting promoted, rightfully so. So you generally you can only speculate. Players. Also, you don't know their transfer budget either. It's assuming to be smaller.
Right. True. I mean, yeah, we don't know the transfer budget. They are going to get 210 million, I think, for being promoted, which is a lot of money. They do have to spend around 10 million to upgrade the stadium to meet Premier League standards. Other than that, though, I think it's a free game, and they can go on. Diego, give me your thoughts.
I think I know this is kind of a general idea, but like honestly, just buying the right players for the right price. There are plenty of good players in other leagues that would not cost you 40 million. I'm looking at you, Morgan Gibbs White, and that can still fill in that role.
Morgan Gibbs White,
who in all honesty has been actually pretty good for Nottingham, but not 40 million good. But again, that's another topic. But basically, like you can get good players for 20 million, maybe less, from other leagues if you do the right amount of scouting, the right amount of research, and fill in those holes that like maybe you need a midfielder because your current one is a little older, a little weaker, or you need a defender, whatever. You can get those positions if you do enough research, and you don't have to shell out so much money to the point where you're basically like overpaying for like 5 or 6 different positions. That doesn't have to happen. I think smart business, smart. Like just kind of looking at your options. You don't have to be a Brighton and already look at like young talent. Like you can do that once you get nicely settled in the Premier League. But you want to settle yourself in first. So you got to build a strong squad. You got to have at least a few good options off the bench. Depth is important. Reliable option off the bench. But also the people who win that playoff championship is like one of the highest amount of money you like the amount you earn from winning
in football. In football, yeah.
So, with that, you have plenty of money to work with. Just be smart about it. Don't do a Nottingham Forest. Even though they stayed up, like I just said, there was no way that the way they went about that was the right way to go about that. I do not think that was the way.
And for defense, they have the right back is Cody Drama, whatever. He's on loan from Leeds. And he's been solid for them all year, or since I think he came in the January transfer window. But he's been solid, and they want to keep him. So that's already an addition right there because he helped this playoff final, the journey to the playoff and the playoff final. Leeds really want to keep him, especially because they're going back down the championship, and they know he can do good in the championship. But I doubt he would want to leave now. Burnley also want him, but if they can keep him, that's a really good option. But I think too, for me, I mean, we've all seen the memes about the memes and the headlines about the stadium, right? Kenilworth Road. I mean, that's everyone knows. Because all that's been talked about. This is the new stadium in the Premier League. It's surprising, whatever. It's cool. I love it. But I think that's one of the biggest advantages too. Is everyone says how hard it is to play there. Everyone, and they could use that. If you can use that as a home advantage, like that'd be huge. Arsenal's going to be scared. I saw the statistic. Apparently, they haven't won a single time at Kenilworth Road in 10 trips. They've made 10 trips to Kenilworth Road and have never won once. I mean, this goes back to the 50s, but even then, like Chelsea played in Luton. I think it was last season, and we won, but it was hard. It wasn't as easy as we thought it was going to be. It's a hard stadium to play at. So if they can use that to get even just draws. Even just that 1 point, that'll be huge. Because they are planning to build a new stadium by 2026. So if you can use the stadium now to stay in for the next 2-3 years, and then by then you're a set Premier League side, move into a new one, then you don't have to rely on that as much. But it's going to be key. It's going to be an important part, and I think it's going to be enough to keep them up. Personally, we're going to see. I mean, we're going to see the teams go. I'm excited to watch the first game, the first home game at least, and see how these players react and how the fans react. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great atmosphere. I don't think there's a single fan who wants them to go down. To be honest, I think exactly everyone wants them to stay up. Yeah, exactly, until they beat all three of us or we get a draw. But I like that. I mean, yeah, defense is correct. Buying the right players is correct. So, I mean, those two fitting together. Home form is going to be important. I like that. All right, let's move on. Well, real quickly, before I move on, I just want to say if you're still watching, thank you. I appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying the content you're watching and all that jazz. Let's go to predictions. We got the Europe finals coming up soon for the Champions League, Europa League, and the Europa Conference League. Surprisingly, Europa comes first, then Conference League, then Champions League. But Europa is, I think, this week. It's Wednesday. So let's talk about it. Let's start with Europa. Let's go in chronological order.
Wow, what an Roma. Analysis.
It's going to be a tale of who's
going to show up, who's going to win the game.
Sevilla.
What a take. What a take.
You know what I mean. Whoever's going to win the game is who's going to score the more goals, I think. No, I mean, I think both teams have not been in good form going into this. So whoever can not struggle the most. I know, it sounds stupid. Sevilla and Roma. Sevilla is the Europa League. They are the best team in Europa League history, easily. Roma has Jose Mourinho, who is Europe. He is European heritage. So we have two teams of heritage here facing off against each other. Sevilla, fun fact, have got a red card in their past 4 games. So I'm very curious if they can make it 5. I kind of want to. But Sevilla just lost to Real Madrid over the weekend. Before that, they drew with Elche. Before that, they drew with Betis in a big 0-0 in a big rivalry match there. And then right before, of course, they beat Juve to get to this final. So it's going to be interesting. I don't know. They also just lost to going to Roma. Roma just lost to Fiorentina on Saturday, who play against West Ham in the Europa Conference League, and it wasn't a close game. I mean, Fiorentina had 15 shots and 6 on target. Roma had 8 and 4. Fiorentina has 66% possession, leaving Roma with 34. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I mean, we know how Jose Mourinho coaches. To park the bus. I mean, in that game against
Leverkusen.
What game am I thinking of? Might have been. I think it was Juve. No. Sorry, Roma against who do they play to get into freaking
Mourinho?
Thank you, Leverkusen. The stat line on that last game was crazy. It was 23 shots to 1.
From personal experience, because
72% possession
last year, it's a little bit of a different team for Sevilla this year. But all we did was play on the counter attack. That's how we beat them.
Sevilla, Roma.
That's exactly how Roma's going to be set up. But Sevilla's the champions of Europa League. They're already in the final. I'm going to go Roma. I think Roma's going to win this one. I think it's going to be 2-1. I think it's going to go into overtime. Not overtime, sorry, extra time. I keep saying overtime. I apologize. Extra time, and I think they'll win it 2-1.
Ooh.
Personally, that's my prediction for that. I think Mourinho might come up with a masterclass, win Europa League, and then maybe win Champions League. Highly doubt it, but you never know.
I feel like that might be a hot take.
Just saying. You never know. Hot takes everywhere from me today.
Whoa. Okay.
Wow, we're jumping now.
All right. It's a big jump gun there, but okay.
I don't know about that.
Dale, give me your predictions.
See, the thing is, like, Roma have actually been kind of okay in the Serie A. I mean, like, okay, they haven't done great by any means, and I think they'd be kind of disappointed that the only reason they finished 6th was because Juventus got a point deduction.
True.
And otherwise, they would. I mean, to be honest, they haven't locked in 6th yet either. They could still drop if they lose, and they haven't been in great form at all. They haven't won in their last 5 league games. But so let's just say 2 teams that are poor form in the league. Sevilla very poor, 11th. Yet it's Europa League heritage. It's part of the game that you expect Sevilla to always show up and do something in the Europa League. And if I'm being honest, I kind of like, besides I know Dybala is a big game player for Roma, but besides that, I really like the players on Sevilla. I think Rakitic still got it, even at, I don't know how old he is now, 34, 35. I think Lamela is a underrated player. No bias there by any means. But just like I don't know, I gotta go Sevilla. I'm not saying it's gonna be easy, and I think Roma will keep it tight and keep it very close, and it'll be one of those where like it'll be few chances, but I think Sevilla come through. They just have that. They have that aura, the same way Real Madrid have it in the Champions League. No
The
matter how
aura.
poor they're doing, Sevilla have that.
Damn it, I was gonna say that. Yeah, I'm going to be here. I mean, it's heritage. They show up like Real Madrid does, despite their form in other competitions. They're there. They show up. It's gonna be Sevilla. They're gonna just overrun Roma. In my opinion, I think Roma's gonna be solid, and I don't think it's gonna be like a runaway. But I think Sevilla get the edge here. And like you said, they have a good team. Individually, they have really good players. It's just they haven't been clicking this season. Unfortunately, I mean, Alejandro Gomez is one that I like to lay him off. He's really good as well. They have the Europa League aura. I mean, what else can you say? It's the Europa League aura.
I mean,
so I'll go Sevilla. I'll go Sevilla for sure.
I'm going
let's go to the Conference League.
Obviously, it's West Ham. Obviously, I'm gonna go 3-1 West Ham. I think
no,
we'll score. The Florentino will score. Then we'll score. Then we'll score in the second half. Personally, it'll be 2-1 going into halftime, 3-1 at the end of the game. Personally, I could be completely wrong. We could lose, and I will cry. But I think we'll win. I think it's going to be a very difficult game. Fiorentina are very good. They're in a final, of course. I feel like a lot of people think it's a give me in terms of for West Ham's win, but I feel like it's going to be a difficult game. I feel like every game is a difficult game in Europe, no matter what the league is, no matter the amount of clowning you get in terms of what league you're in. I feel like every game is difficult to an extent, and I feel like it's going to be a good game. I am a little bit worried because Fiorentina does do long throw-ins apparently, and we are shit defending long throws. I don't know why, but we are. So I am a bit scared on that, but I feel like overall I feel pretty confident in my team, and I feel like we'll win 3-1. I mean, what do you expect? I mean, there's got to be bias.
Okay. Solid. No bias there. Deo? I'm playing. I know. I'm playing.
Come on.
Deo?
Yeah. Man, I really, really, really don't want to say West Ham.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, West Ham's one of those teams that they could easily have a bad game and get battered, or they could have a good game and absolutely batter them. I mean, they have the talent.
Sure, I know what you're gonna say. Just say
it. Man, should I be unbiased here, Andres? You want me to be unbiased here? All right. You know what would be, because I didn't go Roma, I'll go West Ham here as well. But just for the record, an all-Italian sweep in these European finals would be amazing. Just want to put that out there.
I know. I just got Italy jersey too, like from Ross, and I want to wear this proud. I want to wear this proudly after.
So yeah, I think I'll give it to West Ham. Just because I think their talent, yes, they've been poor like generally, but their talent that they have is probably better than the talent that Fiorentina have. Even though Fiorentina have been doing better in the league respectively, but yeah, I think West Ham just have that edge. But like I said, West Ham could be very poor, and all of a sudden Fiorentina show up and they got to the Italian final, like Josh was saying, and they lost 2-1 to Inter, which they're in the Champions League final. So they're a good team that can absolutely still do and go and win this game. And I think West Ham should not underestimate them by any means. Just because one's in the Premier League and one is like in the Serie A.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I'm going to give it to West Ham too. Just on paper, you almost have to give it to West Ham. Although I'm not like that's in no way West Ham's going to run with it. I really do think it's going to be a close game, and I really do think it could even go to extra time. I think Fiorentina are very underrated, and no one rates them because they're not in. They're rarely in Europa, in Champions League. And when they don't make it to late stages, and they don't make headlines in Serie A too. They're not in the best form. They're in decent form. West Ham, they're in very similar forms. For Fiorentina being a little bit better, just of course West Ham being the better league. I mean, West Ham. If you're looking solely on form, you can't be that. You can't be that confident. I mean, 2-1 to Leicester just yesterday. You beat Leeds. lost to Brentford before. Then they go City, then Crystal Palace, Liverpool, blah blah. So you can't be the most excited just looking out for them. Fiorentina, like I said, they just beat Roma, and not just beat Roma. I mean, like they was convincing. They only lost 2-1 to Inter, despite Fiorentina having more shots and more shots on target. Inter Milan is in the Champions League final. Before that, they drew with Torino. Of course, they beat Basel to get there. They beat Udinese. They just lost 1-1 to Napoli, who just won Serie A. And then they drew to Salernitana, Memo Ochoa's team, and then beat Sampdoria 5-0. So I think Fiorentina are in much better form. And I do think Fiorentina are going to come in with a lot more intensity than a lot of people think it's going to be. Too many people haven't looked at Fiorentina and actually given them the credit that they deserve. I do think West Ham are going to pull it out, though. I wouldn't be surprised if Fiorentina does. I'm rooting for Fiorentina, also because I love purple. But I am rooting for Fiorentina. I wouldn't be disappointed if West Ham won. I'm sorry, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than people give it credit.
That's not even a question.
And I'm going to be watching for sure. All right, let's just cap it off because we're almost at our limit here. Let's cap it off the Champions League. Inter Milan, Manchester City. It's going to be City, but I think it's the same thing. Inter Milan, no one's giving Inter Milan the credit. I think they come with a lot of intensity. I think City just have the quality to beat any sort of effort, work rate, and intensity.
Inter's not going to be able to do anything.
I think City's just going to get general one. That saved so much time. There's no debate there. I don't think it's going to be a thrashing because I think Inter. I mean, you look at the team as a lot better than everyone thinks, just because they have biases against these lower league teams, or like non-Premier League teams. I mean, Diego and I were talking about the other day. Like, you look at the quality on that team, and it's very good. No one gives credit for it. I think City's still going to win, although Inter Milan winning. I mean, I'm rooting for Inter Milan. I'm not going to root for City. I want this Inter Milan. I want this Italian sweep. End of the day. I think it'd be great for football. It'd be really good for football. Really good for Italian football. Yeah. So I'm rooting for Italian teams all the way. But I think that's generally it. I'm playing the song again. Here we go. If you at this point and you enjoyed what you're listening to, please consider subscribing. Almost at 200. You could help us get there. Help us get some mystery kits because I want to open those as soon as we can. And yeah, hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Hope you guys watch the rest of our videos, and we'll see you guys at episode 10, a decade. See you later. Peace. Yo, I timed that so good.